On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and each week I'm joined by a panel of guests to discuss all things fandom and pop culture, primarily from a female perspective. You'll find everything from fanfic, to cosplay, to Schitt's Creek, to Supernatural, and everything in between. So put on your favorite piece of fandom merch, set aside that fanfic that you're writing about your OTP, and sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Pop Culture and Fandom News. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and on Friday's episode, it's a little dark with the title of the episode, but in a lot of ways, it's kind of humorous, but 80s movies really traumatized us, and, I think that's talked about a lot, that there were a lot of movies that were like, wait, we watched that when we were little kids, and maybe that's why we're so messed up now.
Explains so much.
Yeah.
Our psyche is forever jacked up.
Yeah. So on Friday's episode, we are going to talk about 80s movies that traumatized us. And joining me for that episode and for this week's Pop Culture and Fandom News is the host of the podcast, Okay Real Quick, Carla. Hello, Carla.
Hello, Erin.
And also joining me is Tiff. Hello, Tiff.
Hi, hey, hello. How's it going?
I really hope when people listen, they respond when people ask those questions.
Somebody in their car is saying, Tiff, it's been a rough week.
Had to get my brakes done. Kids are acting out.
There's
how it
traffic
goes
right now.
Had to get my brakes done. I'm just thinking, maybe it's because I'm thinking of traumatizing movies. I'm thinking like someone cut their brakes or something. That didn't happen to anybody.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
No, I'm thinking about regular wear and tear, not all my children.
I watched too many soap operas. Yes, I have watched too many soap operas in my life. I only watch one now, although I really, really need to check out that new soap on CBS, Beyond the Gates. So I got to check that out, but I haven't checked it out yet. So, I will at some point. I should just stream it while I'm working, Okay, so before we get to 80s trauma, just 80s, just trauma dump on all of you. We're going to get to some pop culture and fandom news. So, Carla, what is one thing in pop culture or fandom that you're into right now?
I just finished the latest season of The Cleaning Lady, and I had been putting it off because I had watched a lot of stressful shows in a row, and I was like, okay, I really need to pace myself with these. I need to microdose my stressful TV shows. So I had put off watching the rest of The Cleaning Lady. The season ended early June. We're now in early July. So I think I gave myself enough of a cushion between then and now to wrap it up. And I still think that last season they did something in the show that I think they could have handled differently. But I still enjoyed the latest season, and I really enjoyed how it shaped up for the finale and how it set it up for the next season. I don't want to... Okay, so I'm going to spoil it a little bit. So if you haven't yet watched the latest season of The Cleaning Lady and you intend to, you don't want spoilers, turn away for exactly 1 minute. I promise it will not go over 1 minute. Just skip forward 1 minute at a time. But, so, Tony was put in the same jail as Ramona. And, of course, Ramona wants to kill her, and she tried really hard to, and when she couldn't, she went after her son. So they both escaped, one to kill the son, one to save the son. And then Tony saved her child and buried Ramona in a hole that was meant for her. And then she ends the thing saying, I want to take over the cartel. So that's how it ends. And so you're left wondering like, oh, that's a new ambition, Tony. I didn't expect this from you. Although you should, because Tony is exactly like this. And if you've been watching the show, it completely tracks. So I haven't looked into like what people are saying, but if anybody's out there saying, oh, that's a really weird thing for Tony to say, you have not been paying attention for the last 4 seasons, because that is a very Tony thing to want to do. We are now out of spoiler town. So I just want to say that like it's still a really good show. It's still very much worth watching. And even though Kate del Castillo is in it, and I've never liked her portrayal of Ramona is really, really good. So the reason I don't like Kate del Castillo, by the way, is because in the telenovela Muchachitas, which aired in like the early, I don't know, like maybe mid-early 90s, I don't know, her character came in and stole my favorite character's man. And ever since then, I have been strictly an anti-Kate del Castillo house by myself. And she also, like, there are bigger reasons to not like her, not the least of which being that she went and made besties with what's-his-face, the cartel leader from Colombia, and was like, he's not that bad. There are better reasons to not like her, but I'm a day one Kate del Castillo hate train adopter.
Yeah, that latter reason is a very good reason. But no, I understand. Being a soap watcher for as long as I've been, I understand what you're talking about.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you for understanding my I think very reasonable rage, very reasonable amount of rage.
Absolutely.
That's the way I used to think of the actress Cassie I'm sorry, I'm butchering your last name there, and she was on One Life to Live, and she came on to play Blair. She actually took over for another actress, and I shipped Max and Luna. If anybody out there knows who these characters are, shout out to you, because I shipped these two. So was one of my OTPs in the soap world. And Luna was like this, like not really a hippie, but kind of like that. And Max was like this playboy for a while, and then he wasn't. And he was dating Blair for a little bit, and then he fell in love with Luna. It was friends to lovers for them. And then Blair was always trying to take Max. And at one point, Max, spoilers for the soap from the 90s, and at one point, Blair and Max slept together. Max was also an alcoholic and all this stuff, and cheated on Luna with Blair. And so I hated her with a burning passion. And I did judge the actress, even though she was also in Evil Dead 2. So, but I still judge her. And then she came on to Days of Our Lives, and I was like, I hate this character, and I didn't even know anything about the character, but it was because I hated her so much on One Life to Live. So I understand.
Thank you. I'm glad that we're seeing eye to eye on this.
Yes. But Max and Luna ended up together. Spoilers, Luna did die, but
oh my
like
God,
real
poor
death.
Luna. She just can't catch a break.
She gets cheated on. She doesn't cheat.
I know.
Death. Oh.
I know. You want to know something? You want to know something really? She did cheat death a couple times, though, I will say. But you want to know something really funny about that pairing? Okay, so this was like in high school, and this was happening, and I would record it on a VCR and watch the episodes after school. And they got married, and like Luna had this thing where she was like, if we have sex before we get married, not because of like any kind of religious or anything like that, she thought that Max was going to die or something.
What?
Wow.
Oh my God.
Something like that.
Did she watch Buffy and think that like Angel turns into a dark side angel, and so my boyfriend's going to die? Like, does she just think sex equates horrible things?
This
and
was
if so,
before
Joss Whedon, look what you've done.
No, this was before Buffy, so Joss Whedon may have been watching this and stole it, but
it was
Got
some
it.
inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay.
it was something like that. I can't remember the exact belief she had. And so then they got married, and they were going to be, of course, Max was like all about sex. He loved sex. So he, of course, really wanted to have sex with Luna. And then somehow they got separated, and there's this huge snowstorm, and Luna found this cabin, and then Max ended up finding her. and they finally had sex, and their sex was so powerful that they created an earthquake. I am not even kidding.
Oh my gosh. Joss Whedon totally watched that episode because
of Spike
of Spike and Buffy literally bringing a house down.
So we've got like the whole thing with Angel, and then we've got the whole thing with Spike. So this is clearly somebody had Max and Luna on the mind. Noted.
I'm going to have to try and see if I can find a clip of that, because I remember it so vividly. And then their like reaction of, oh my gosh, we're just so amazing together. Like, we make the earth move. And I think one of them said that line too. I remember.
Oh my God.
All I can hear on a loop in my head is Carol King's "I Feel the Earth Move."
Me too,
under my
That's
feet.
exactly what was going on in my head.
Oh, I'm surprised they didn't like do that in the show, but they probably couldn't. Maybe they couldn't get the rights to that song or something. I don't know.
Absolutely.
But on that note, Tiff, what is making the earth move for you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I haven't started the second season of it, but I'm looking forward to it because the first season was funny, and I mean it's silly, but I don't know if anybody watched Fubar with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's on Netflix.
Oh.
And it's essentially about he's an undercover, he's a CIA agent. His family has no idea what he does. He's been a CIA agent for like 30 plus years, and he is supposedly retiring. But of course something happens, and he can't go out yet because there's an evil somebody doing something evil, and he has to stop the evil and blah, blah, blah. Well, anyway, long story short, spoilers. If you haven't seen it yet, hold off for like 90 seconds. He finds out his daughter is also an agent and has been undercover for like a year with this extremely dangerous cartel. So we're bringing it back to the cartels, Carla. Like down in, I think she's in Colombia or she's in Venezuela or something like that. And so it's all about him being mad with her being mad with him, them being forced to work together because all of a sudden the CIA, their handlers are like, yeah, this is great. Father and daughter, let's go. Let's do this. The best duo that we could possibly have. And it is just a hot mess express. There's a lot of family drama going on the backside. He's divorcing the wife is divorcing him, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. And the daughter is engaged to be married to this very sweet guy who she has absolutely no chemistry with. When I say she has this little dude, he's so sweet. He makes he likes to go antiquing and things like that. And she's like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. And she tries not to show it, but she's so boring. And anyway, second season dropped in mid-June. So I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my radar now. So I will be watching it very soon. It's only 8 episodes. And I think the first season was the same. Let me confirm that. First season, yes, was 8 episodes. And they are like 50 minutes or so. So check it out. It was funny. I mean, it's not a good score on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't care. I thought it was, I thought it was pretty funny.
I just want to say something. Some people look down on soaps, but the description of both of these shows that both Carla and Tiff have mentioned could be from a soap opera. I just want to say that. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
When everybody, I'm not talking about Carla and Tiff because I know they don't, but when everybody's out there putting soaps down, saying how stupid soaps are, you're watching soaps. They're just elevated.
Right.
Which I hate that word, but I had to use it.
Right. They're just not during the daytime. They're nighttime soap. So people don't associate them with a soap. And I'm like, come on, y'all. It's a soap.
Same thing.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. And also, a lot of soap actors are actually really good actors, by the way. I mean, come on.
Yes.
We love Jensen Ackles. Jensen Ackles started on a soap, so.
Sarah Michelle Gellar started on a soap, speaking of.
Yeah. Kendall.
of things that we've just
Yep. Kendall on All My Children. I was watching All My Children when she was on All My Children. Yes.
Yes,
Man,
yes.
Kendall and Erica did not like each other. Mother and daughter fighting constantly and that was off screen as well. Susan Lucci and her supposedly did not get along.
Wow.
Oh my
Ooh, the
god.
gossip.
Yeah. And that's why they ended up
Interesting.
recasting her, because this other woman came on, and then Kendall came out in like I think the early 2000s or mid 2000s or something like that. I don't remember, but which is pretty cool. It's actually really cool. It's not pretty cool. It's really cool.
She ended up marrying her girlfriend, right?
Yeah, she got married. I don't
Okay.
remember her girlfriend's name. Yeah. So stop insulting soaps. I understand how ridiculous they are, though. Okay, believe me. Okay, well, for me, what I'm into right now is this conversation. No, I am into this show on Shudder called Hell Motel. I know, stupidest title award goes to this show for the year. I agree. I mean, there's a reason it's titled that, but this is a show from the makers of, there was this series called Slasher, where each new season would be a new slasher kind of, storyline, new characters, that kind of thing. And they didn't, a lot of people are saying they should have just called this Slasher, Hell Motel or something, because it's in the same vein as that. So if you liked that series, you'd probably like this. But it starts in 1995, which the show lovingly tells you was 30 years ago. 30 years ago.
Rude.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
I know. And this just married couple, they go to this motel on the side of the road in this, I can't remember what town. And these two people check them in, and one of them, the guy, has like blood on his hands. And then they go to their honeymoon suite in this motel. And then they get brutally murdered. And then it says 30 years later, and a group of people that are into true crime, or like one character on there sleeps with serial killers, like known serial killers. It's her kink. And then another character that was almost killed by a serial killer. And then a person that's like a true crime person, and then a professor, and then like a psychic. And they get invited to this motel reopening, the place where that happened. There was also a bunch of other people that got killed. And the people that have bought it, they're having this, they invited them exclusively to promote this motel. And they're really gross people because, it's kind of like a take on that about true crime, people who are true crime obsessed, and they just kind of forget about the people involved. And there's also another character on there who does like art designs replicating like actual murderers and like sells them. Yeah, it's really weird. So they're there, and then Eric McCormick, who's not in it much, this is kind of a spoiler, but he is the first person murdered among this new group, so spoilers there. But he plays like a chef, like a really like snotty chef, and he's doing a terrible accent. That's my biggest criticism of the show.
No.
You don't have to make him do an accent. He could have still been snobby without doing an accent. And he serves them shots that, this is kind of a spoiler too, so I guess you can forward for like 30 seconds. Shots that are his blood. Shots of his own blood. I'm not even kidding. Like he shows his arm, like he's like, yep, that really is my blood that you drink.
Oh my god.
Delightful.
I know. And so safe. And
absolutely.
so before his character gets killed, because what this ends up being is there's a killer killing them, who is someone who is kind of mimicking the person who killed before, but also the real killers from the 30-year ago murder are there as well. And you know pretty quickly who they are. I'm not going to say who they are, but I thought it was so cool who the real killers are, just because you don't see killers usually in this way. That's the most I'm going to say, which makes it sound really weird, but most I'm going to say. But it's fun. It's really, really bloody, like really gory, really gruesome. So if you're not into gore, if you're not into slashers, if you're not into blood, you'll hate it because it's very gory. It also plays a lot into satanic panic and stuff like that. But I think it's fun. It's on Shudder. I don't know when new episodes drop, to be honest. I should have looked that up because I just kind of watch it whenever. But it's still like weekly. So, yeah.
That actually sounds interesting. I'm like,
It's fun. It's fun.
Fun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So, and trigger warning for it. There is an animal death and there is a little bit of kind of BDSM in it. So just triggers for that. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about one thing in fandom or pop culture that has us excited or maybe feeling some other way. So we'll be right back.
Jack Daniels is proudly served in fine establishments, questionable joints, and everywhere in between. So, no matter where you go, in every bar, you'll always know someone by name.
Jack.
Jack and Coke?
Shot of Jack?
Jack Daniels, please.
Right away.
That's what makes Jack, Jack.
Please drink responsibly. Responsibility.org. Jack Daniels and Old No. 7 are registered trademarks. Copyright 2025 Jack Daniels. Tennessee whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. 80 proof.
So, Carla, what is one thing in fandom or pop culture that you are catching feelings about?
I have caught feelings about everything under the sun lately. And I'm trying to decide between these two major things. Well, they're major to me. They're probably not like universally major. Okay, I'm going to go with this one. All right, so I think I've said this now on like 5 different shows. I'm rereading The Count of Monte Cristo. This time I read the unabridged version because I didn't know it existed because I have the one book that I've had since high school. And that's the only book that I reread. And when I saw, there's more Count of Monte Cristo, I was like, oh my God, yes, give it to me. So I started reading it. It's through an audiobook through the Libby app that you can hook up to your library. But so I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, okay, well, now it makes sense why it's abridged. There is so much extra stuff. It's like, and the Count said this, and then like half a page later, and remember when the Count said that? He's going to say it again in case you forgot. And then like 3 lines down, remember when we just talked about this? Yes, it's coming back. And you're like, I got it. I promise you, I got it. Anyway, that's not the thing that I'm like, about. Aside from like the extra fluff that was not necessary, there are some like what I think are pretty crucial things that get cut out in the abridged version. And I was looking up theories about like this thing that I was like, okay, is this happening in this book? And one thing that I saw that a lot of people were saying is like some of the English versions are not like directly from like the translations that they did into English from the Victorian era, but they haven't strayed far from them. And part of the reason is that they cut out a lot of things that, you know, the delicate senses of the Victorian people. It's like, oh, that's a little gay. So I don't think that we want that in the book. So as you're reading the unabridged version, you're like, I don't remember this from when I was in school. And it's like, yeah, because you're not supposed to, because you're reading the abridged version, which doesn't have these things that you're like, they're not friends. They're not sharing a room. So what I'm mad about this week is that it's one thing to abridge things for clarity, for length, to cut out fluff, because Dumas was paid by the line. So, you know, of course you want to fluff it up so that you can get paid more. It was also originally like a serialized thing that was published, I think, like, I don't know, weekly, monthly, and then condensed. So it does make sense to abridge for that. But they did it parts of it specifically to cut out a lesbian couple. And again, some of it harkens back to the Victorian era. So, like, okay, I guess it quote unquote makes sense for then, but we're in 2025. Why are abridged versions still cutting that out? We know the climate that we're in. However, not everybody subscribes to that, but there are also a lot of things that now I'm wondering, like, what other books that I've read growing up, one, are abridged versions that I didn't realize were abridged, and two, what is it that they left on the cutting room floor? So now I have like my book detective hat on, and I'm like, maybe I should read unabridged versions of every book that I've ever read. I'm like, I don't think that I have the kind of time but I'm very curious about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be curious too. Because I'm sure a lot of them. I wonder if there's any way to just have a catalog, and let us know, everybody out there, if this is somewhere, but like a website or somewhere that's cataloged every single book that has done that. I don't know. I just
That
thought
would
of
be
that.
interesting. And I really feel like somebody new needs to come out and give us an abridged version of the Count of Monte Cristo that keeps these, like, what I think are pretty important things, but does condense it so that it's not like, oh, the Count of Monte Cristo put on a cloak 3 times in a scene.
Yeah, you talked a little tiny bit about that on a episode that I don't know when it'll be released, but that Carla and I did on Jen, my podcast, Brain Twins podcast, My Streaming Bubble. We talked about Hard Eyes, so look for that one. So, Tiff.
Well, if you're in the Discord channels, I mentioned this last night. So I watched Old Guard 2, and I am so disappointed. I am just so disappointed. It took 952 years to get this one before it came out. After the booming success of the first one, that was so great, so critically acclaimed. I mean, such an outstanding premise, outstanding casting. Gina Prince Bythewood did such an amazing job with direction. Fight choreo was so tight. The shots that they gave us, cinematography, absolute chef's kiss. I don't know what happened with this one. The fight choreography was so slow. It was extremely disjointed. The shots were choppy. And I can't figure it out. The director is Victoria Mahoney, and I like her stuff. She's directed, several episodes of Queen Sugar, which was on the OWN network previously. That was the brainchild of Ava DuVernay. And she's a great director. I literally cannot figure out what happened with this movie. I honestly can't, but I am so super disappointed by it, especially with the cliffhanger that we got from the first film. There was just no flow. There was no flow. And I know people know the casting, and I had mentioned that I was upset with one of the main characters that got added, and it's Uma Thurman. I like Uma Thurman as an actress. I think that everything she's done has been really rock solid. She is one of my favorite. She does one of my favorite characters with her portrayal of the bride / Beatrix Kiddo from Kill Bill. And she gives me nothing in this. Like, she absolutely gives me nothing in this. And I can't figure out if it's the writing or if it's her just trying to do this very affected kind of portrayal of an immortal who just thinks she's so much better than everybody else. I will say Henry Golding was added in, and he is lovely. And he is so grounded in this. He doesn't have a huge role, but I really like his addition to this. I honestly do. But I gave it 5.5 out of 10, and that was me being generous. Honestly, that was me being generous. So it left out on another cliffhanger. So it's a series of books. So the material is there, but the way Netflix left us hanging after the first one, I don't even know if they'll even push forward with another one after this. And that's super disappointing. I have #sadness.
That makes me so sad for you, Tiff, because of how many times you've mentioned that on here and how excited you were and how you were rooting for this. That just makes me so sad, because that's like the worst feeling when you are so excited for something and you have been looking forward to it for forever. And then it just is such a letdown and such a disappointment.
I hyped it up in my mind, and I should have had the mantra of, expect the worst, root for the best, that sort of thing, and be surprised by the best, whatever that saying is. And it's really not good. It's really, really not good. And I just don't know how to quantify that. I'm so upset. I am just so upset by it. Shoot.
Well, I'm upset for you. Seriously. That really bums me out for you because I know how excited you were. And so when you posted that in the Discord, I was like, oh, man,
Yeah.
that sucks. That really
Yeah,
sucks.
I hope they give it another try. I hope it, because it does leave, I mean, where it leaves off is there's potential for a lot more to happen where it actually leaves off. This is actually to me, this is actually a bigger kind of cliffhanger than, or a jump off point than the first one had. So fingers crossed, I'm rooting for it to have like a comeback and give us, the same energy that the first one did. But knowing Netflix and knowing how they're built and their business model, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. So yeah, and Henry Golding must be in his TV series stint right now. Although I know it's not like a TV series, but like he's in the latest season of 9 Perfect Strangers too, just in case anyone didn't know that. Yeah.
Oh, I
Thank
didn't
you for
know
the
that.
incentive.
Yeah. He is a lovely,
very
lovely,
interested.
lovely person to look at. He honestly is, especially with facial hair. He's got facial hair.
Yeah, no, he's very attractive. He has a really, I'm not going to spoil anything, but he does a scene that is comedic a little bit and has a little bit of body, you know what I mean? Physical comedy. Sorry. He does have, I'm sorry.
I was like, hey now.
He does have a sexual relationship with one of the other people there. I'm not going to tell you who, but so hopefully whatever it is next that you're excited about, like exceeds your expectations to make up for this. So
yes.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, last week, of course, our main episode was about celebrity deaths that hit us really hard. And in case you didn't see, Michael Madsen recently passed away. And Michael Madsen to me was like this, I don't know, such a unique and interesting actor to watch because he could play like the creepiest guys in the world and do it very easily. And I usually think people that can do that are probably really good people in life. I know that's not always the case, but he did it also in this way where you still really enjoyed watching him. And he was also extremely sexy, like in this very dangerous way. And I think it made him appealing to watch. And I just think he was so talented. And he also could do sensitive. He also could play characters that had a lot of sensitivity. So, and go read what his sister, Virginia Madsen, wrote about him because it's really beautiful. Really beautiful. So he was only in his 60s. And to me, that's still young. And that was really, really sad. And if you want to watch 2 heartbreaking deaths from recently together, there is this great little independent movie that Val Kilmer is in and Michael Madsen and Joanne Whalley Kilmer when Val Kilmer and her were married. And it's called Kill Me Again. And it's like a neo-noir kind of film. And I really like it. Typical kind of Michael Madsen character, but it's good. And they're both in it together. So you can watch 2 late great actors. So yeah, so rest in peace to him. And then it was also sad to me that Julian McMahon also died because he was, to me, I'll always think of him as Nip Tuck. I didn't watch Charmed and I didn't really watch the Marvel movie that he was in. So to me, he'll always be the character from Nip Tuck. But that was also sad to me. He was only in his 50s and he was battling cancer very privately. And so that's really sad too. And then I know the composer of the X-Files theme, right? Carla, I know you were mentioning that.
Mark Snow.
Yeah. It's it feels to me, and I know this is probably not true, but it feels to me like so many great people are dying. It just feels like every week there's at least 3 or 4 that we hear about. It's kind of overwhelming. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on that happy note that I left us all with. I was also like, this is so weird that these are happening right when we're releasing that episode. I kept thinking that. I'm like, when Julian McMahon died on Friday, that was announced. And I'm like, we just dropped that episode. This is kind of creepy. which I know I know it has nothing to do with that. I'm just saying it just felt kind of weird. But we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about fandom just doing the utmost to be terrible.
With a Venmo debit card, you can Venmo more than just your friends. You can use your balance in so many ways. You can Venmo everything. Need gas? You can Venmo this. How about snacks? You can Venmo that. Your favorite band's merch? You can Venmo this. Or their next show? You can Venmo that. Visit Venmo.me/debit to learn more.
You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo.
The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Card may be used everywhere MasterCard is accepted. Venmo purchase restrictions apply.
Okay, so we're turning to Supernatural fandom. And I'm not going to say the name of the person. They went on private, and I don't want more people attacking them. But this person posted on Twitter, and I'm going to read the tweet here. I've wanted to say this for a while, and tonight I've had enough tequila to finally give me the courage. I don't think we're getting canon reciprocated Destiel as long as Alan Ackles is alive. I will 100% regret this post tomorrow. Good night. If you don't know who Alan Ackles is Jensen Ackles' dad. I don't know Alan Ackles. He might be a very conservative, horrible person. I have no idea. But the point is, even if you're posting this in jest or joking, which before they went private, I did see the thread, and there were people actually agreeing with this. Someone did like a meme, that meme of like where it's like the grave and then you got the person doing like the peace sign. I don't remember what it's originally from. And they did that with it and they made it Alan Ackles' grave and headstone and then like Destiel shippers and something like that, being all happy. That's fictional, okay? Dean and Cass are fictional characters. And to even jokingly, even if you think you're joking, I know there are other people that aren't joking, think that the death of somebody else will give you your fictional ship, it's to me crossing a line. Like, that is just beyond terrible to do, in my opinion. So, Carla, I don't know if you disagree with me.
Yeah, Erin, I think you're completely wrong. I think we should wish death on the parents of everybody whose ship doesn't end up making it to port. Like, ew. See, my thing is that there are things that you keep either inside your head or inside your friend circle. Because I don't think it's like inherently evil to say something like this to your pals. If you're in your group chat and you're like, listen, here's a hot take. Okay. But to put it out there into the world, the reason that there's a difference there is that the person about whom you're speaking or people who care about that person could come across it. And I think that that's where you lose me. Like, that's where I'm just like, no, you just don't do that because it's really hurtful. It's a really hurtful thing to say about an actual person. Even if the actual person is trash, I don't know that he is or he isn't. I have no idea. But that's neither here nor there. That is still a human being. So for me, I just think that like this person having to delete the tweet and go private, I'm not, pro harassing a complete stranger because I don't think that's what this is about either. There's no reason to like, and I don't know that this happened, but I can only imagine that they must have been in the receiving end of some pretty strong things to go that route. But there are just some things that you keep inside your head or inside your circle and leave it there. Not everything. This is one thing that just people don't seem to get about social media. Just because you can put it out there doesn't mean that you should. Some things belong in your diary. They should never see the light of day beyond that. And I can't even say like, oh, it's getting worse, because it's not. This is just the way it's always been with any kind of public forum where people are able to put whatever they want out there. This is just like the latest instance of somebody saying something where, yeah, the whole thing of like, I'm probably going to regret it. Maybe that should have stopped you. I don't care how much tequila you had, because I don't care how much tequila I've had. That is something that I'm pretty sure I wouldn't put up publicly about somebody's parent. And as far as it being about like the Destiel ship, as a Destiel shipper, okay, frankly, we gotta let it go. It's been 5 years. It's things like this and things like on 911, I won't mention what it is, but people not being able to let go of a recent development where they're like, oh, maybe they can reverse it in the next season. Just let it go. It's just entertainment. And even if you're very, very closely identified with it for some reason or another, find light in your life in another way. Because this does not have to be the be-all, end-all of your life.
Yeah, and we are not getting that 6th season, people. We're not. It's not happening. The actors are going to get too old to make it believable. So the only way it would happen is they do a huge reboot and it'll be totally new characters. That I could see happening.
Yeah.
A 6th season, or 6th season, 16th. Wow, Erin.
I was like, wait a minute, did we go
Just
back in
remake
time?
the 6th season.
Did we rewind everything?
Right? Because listen, if we're going to go back in time to when the 6th season was airing, can we change some other things before we change the season of the show?
Wow. And I even do a podcast on a character from that show. So, Tiff, counterpoint.
No, I have 0 counterpoints, and I say this as somebody who actively, literally does not care about that Destiel thing. I don't care about it. I don't think I never saw it, to be honest. I think it was all just bait. I didn't feel it, and I watched all 15 seasons, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, lady or person who tweeted, how do you know what Alan Ackles thinks? How do you know what information he's passed along to his son? What inside info do you have that is intrinsic to their relationship and what advice he provides to Jensen Ackles? That does not make sense to me. Keep your thoughts to yourself. That's something that should go in the old journal or the old diary if you're 12. And don't put it out there for people to see and to pile on you, because you see what happened. You had to go private because it was so ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I think even if people kind of did agree with that person, they wouldn't be just ridiculous enough to say, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Most of the people, I think, would just say, okay, girl or guy, you or they or them. You just put yourself out there and good luck. Good luck to you. I mean, but I don't understand what the point of that is. I don't even get it. He didn't seem to be too. Jensen did some stuff on the boys, a Soldier Boy, that wasn't like very straight laced or anything like that. So I don't know if it's the fact that it's too doomed, or I'm not sure. Like, why would you even say that? It's so bizarre.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
Right? It's bizarre.
Of all the things you would think of why this ship wouldn't happen, this person who has no control over the CW.
Right.
Thank you.
Do you think that's the whole reason it hasn't happened? Is Alan Ackles is back there like the Wizard of Oz controlling CW?
Like, no, you will not write this in. No, you're going to give him this random woman.
I'm pretty sure that if the show wanted it to happen, it would have happened. Like, I don't know where they're getting this idea that, like, oh, somebody's random parent is controlling this. Okay, that's what the thought that should have ended. Like, you could have just not, and you did.
Yeah,
but you did.
Tequila is powerful stuff.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Like, what did Rick James say on Dave Chappelle's So Cocaine is a hell of a drug? Apparently tequila is a hell of a drink.
Like, some people's tequila privileges should just be revoked. Like, no more tequila for you. If you're just gonna abuse it and then blame it for things, like, no.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, I'm not trying to be fair to this because it's really stupid, but I mean, Alan Ackles was on an episode of Supernatural. The girl next door, the one in season 8 or 7 or whatever it was that Jensen directed, and Alan Ackles was in there briefly. So that must have been when it all started that he had control over the CW.
That's when the takeover began.
Yeah. And a certain side of the fandom, of course, got wind of this. And I think that is when everything just blew up, of course, because the other side, being the Wincest side of the fandom, got a hold of this. And they've actually shared it with Misha Collins. And so that's when you're going to what Carla is saying about how you have no idea those people could see this. I'm not saying Misha necessarily even saw that they shared it with him in a response, because they hate him too. So it's not like they did it in a way of get your fans together way, And I'm not saying necessarily that Misha even saw it or anything, but that just should show you that if they can share it with Misha and show it to Misha, Jensen, who is not very adept at social media, still could see it or could hear about it. And just think that's got to make you feel very unsafe too, because even if it's a joke, you don't know as a celebrity who this person is. So you don't know if they're serious about this, if they should be looking into this person, if, there's some kind of threat there. So there's that part too. And this person also, and I didn't see the original of this, so I just saw this screen grab. So I don't know all the validity to it, but this person also allegedly, because I saw the screen grab tweeted out this photo op with Jared and a bunch of other people and Jared Padalecki, and the pride flag is like wrapped around Jared's like throat or something with the pride. And they're doing like this joking, like strangle. I don't know how to describe it, but like this picture where it's around his neck, and it's just this joking like photo op or something. I'm sure there's something more behind it. I'm sure it's like, I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. Because there's a bunch of people with pride flags in the photo. I don't know. I'm probably describing this horribly, but they captioned that and said if only someone had done this before the Denver Supernatural Convention, the last one when they were in Denver. Because during that convention, Jared famously during their thing talked about basically saying Destiel, there's no way that was real. Kind of in that way. I can't remember his exact sayings, but it was kind of icky, kind of came off as homophobic. And so it was almost like they were saying, if only they could have taken care of him and taken him out before that, so we wouldn't. And that's another joke, quote unquote, joke thing, if you're joking, that you don't put out there like that. That is so disturbing. So, yeah.
Again, this is a television show. Why are you so invested in a television show that you're taking it to the streets? To the streets of the convention center. Like, sit down with some hot cocoa and your thoughts and leave it there.
Yes, because I guarantee you, they don't think about this show as much as you think about this show.
They have moved on, with the exception of the money that it still makes them when they go to those, those cons and things like that. You think they're thinking about this constantly? Ha ha.
No, they think about it when the checks roll in. Other than that, like, at the very least, not as much as the rest of you.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I do not begrudge any of these actors for going and getting the money. And some of them, this is the way they make most of their money because they're not big stars. So I don't begrudge people for getting that money. But they're at those conventions because it's a job. They're not there because they're your friends. They're not there because they care about Destiel becoming canon, even though some of them often use that over and over again and queer bait you, Misha. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that that's like they really actually give a crap. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's true. So it's just when I saw this, it just totally blew my mind because I've seen some things on every side of that fandom, okay? And I see more and more of it now, especially having a podcast, which we've been blocked by lots of people on every side of the fandom. Because they do not like us, every side, for certain things. So, certain people in the fandoms. So, I see a lot more of it, and every side does this kind of stuff. So one side is not better than the other. Every side has those bad apples in them. But just try and remember, when you post something on social media, everyone can see it, has the chance to see it. And so like Carla was saying, keep that to the private chats and to your text threads or whatever. And don't.
And it's not even a thing of like, because like people won't agree with you, or because, you know, you might get really nasty things said to you. Just as a human, you're talking about another human.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not doing anything in your personal life that warrants this. If this guy had like punched your mom in the face, then okay. Okay, sure. But I'm pretty sure he didn't. So, you know, maybe stop.
Plot twist.
Plot twist. Next week we'll see a tweet. Story time. The time that this man punched my mom in the face.
We were just walking down the street. There he was. We were just like, boom, out of nowhere.
Ow.
And then he said, Destio will never be canon as long as I'm alive. Oh, man. Okay, on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Pop Culture and Fandom News. So I'm going to go around and have my two lovely panelists tell everybody where they can be found. And Carla will tell everybody where her podcast, Okay Real Quick, can be found. Take it away, Carla.
I am very excited to tell you all the places you can find Okay Real Quick. You can find it wherever you found this podcast, for example. You can also find our social media presence wherever you social your media. Look for at Okay Real Quick Pod. We're not on every social media thing. We are on a lot of them, though. So just look for it. I've actually posted a lot of TikToks recently. I'm just learning the TikTok thing. They're not particularly good TikToks, but you should look at them so you can laugh at me trying to learn the TikTok thing. So, you know, it'll be fun for all of us. You can also find me and my art and my musings at Carla Temis on TikTok and Instagram, or, yes, my website, carlatemis.com. That's CarlaTemis.com.
Awesome. And TikTok is going to be turning into something else probably in the United States, and it's going to be just for the United States. And then TikTok apparently will be going away for us.
Okay,
I'm going to look more into this. So you're going to hear about this probably next week. But yeah.
So it's basically like a limited series then? And you really want to check out the TikToks now while they exist?
Yes, because I doubt we're all going to go over to M, is what it's apparently going to be called. What? M.
Is it M for America?
So Tiff.
Let me tell you, the only thing I do on TikTok is just look at the stuff that basically Carla sends me, and the rest of it is the Phantom thing God sends me. So you don't have to worry about finding content for me on TikTok because it's not there. So mostly I'm on the Discord talking with the rest of the crew, and there's all sorts of goodies on there. You can see me complaining about the old cartoon and It's a Movie thing. You can hear politics, distractions, pets. Erin just posted some really good stuff with Fergie the dog being cute as she normally is. And you can find theater and what else? Book stuff, all sorts of things. So come along and chat it up. And I'm sure we can find something that does interest you.
Yes. 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 Stop saying S. Yeah. I just posted a memory because I forgot all about this. And then it came up in my memories today. Fergie, who, you know, the dog, who usually just loves horror, true crime, and Abbott Elementary. Well, I forgot that last year when I was watching The Notebook for podcast prep, she was so into that movie. I do not get it. I think it's because the part that I recorded, she was watching when, I was on the Ferris wheel and things. That's the most romantic way. I'm gonna drop if you don't go out with me.
She was hoping that he would fall.
Yeah, I think that's why she was watching it, because that's the only thing I can think of, because she was very into it, and I do not understand why. But she is not into fireworks, so please stop setting fireworks off. There's nothing to celebrate anyway, everybody. But you can follow her. She's a cutie. She's a weirdo, but she's really cute. And TikTok, for now. I mean, this is just developing as of we're recording this on Sunday, July 6th. So I'm sure you'll hear more about this on our next pop culture and fandom news episode. But you can follow her on TikTok at Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. It's long, but it's worth it. To find all our past episodes, our social media information, to find links to our Patreon, where for as little as $3 a month, you can get ad-free episodes, bonus content, ads a day early. Everyone wants that. Episodes a day early, and occasionally you win prizes. So go to the Support Us tab on our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. And you can also find our Redbubble there and a bunch of other links. And like I said, on it'safandomthingpod.com, you can find our back catalog. And we are going to be in October, our 600th episode is going to be releasing in October. I just don't understand. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. It just blows my mind. So go catch up before you've got a couple months to catch up on our back catalog. And on Friday's episode, Carla and Tiff are going to return to talk about why 80s films were determined to traumatize us. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter, stop Asian hate, and free Palestine.
You don't need to be ripped. You just need the right shirt. Epic Fits gives you a clean, confident silhouette, snug on the arms, soft on the skin, generous where it counts. And with deals like $15 per tee, they won't break the bank. Visit epicfits.com today. Epic Fits. T-shirts that get it.